All right, here we go. Episode 5. Middara painting Gevaudan. Gevaudan. I legit had to look up a YouTube video to see how to pronounce this. I was calling it Gevaudan, Gevaudan. It's just, all American-like. Anyways, episode 5, we're going to paint this, and I'm going to say this was my favorite model to paint, but we're going to do the best we can on it. Anyways, if this is your first time at the channel, if you are doing all the Middara miniatures or future miniatures that we got Kickstarters coming out, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. Let's do it. Anyways, all right, let's go. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do is scrape off all those nasty mold lines using whatever edge scraper you have. There was only a couple on these, nothing too crazy, but if you need any supplies, descriptions below, check it out. After that, we are going to prime with gray primer. We want a very light prime on this, nothing too crazy. And obviously, full disclosure, I am using an airbrush on this miniature because I felt like it, and I had really no idea how to paint this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The first base coat we're gonna do on this using our airbrush is an Adminastratum Grey. If you don't have an airbrush, just slap that Adminastratum Grey on there. It doesn't really matter. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just doing that because and once you get your Adminastratum Grey on there, just hit the bubbler on it to mix it up just nice and easy and spray your miniature. Again, if you do not have an airbrush, it's not that big of a deal. It just makes it a little bit quicker. The second color we're going to hit with our airbrush is going to be a deck tan from Model Color. Now, if you're using the airbrush, you're going to do about 2 to 3 drops of the paint mixed with about 5 brushfuls of air brush flower and about 2 to 3 brushfuls of thinner. And we're going to spray that all over our miniature basically. Secondly, we're going to spray from above with an Ivory. Now, if we're looking at the card art, you can kind of tell that the differentiation between the color on the top and the bottom is just a little bit subtle, but you can tell that it's there. Again, this model is not easy to paint. It was very hard, very, very hard. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a base coat to try and differentiate between our surfaces of 4 parts Lahmian Medium, 1 part Agrax Earthshade, and 1 part Seraphim Sepia, just to put some coloration between our model. Then we are going to go back to the airbrush and we're going to hit it with directly above white. We're doing basically a zenithal highlighting, building up our contrasted colors, try and make some of that colorization stick through. The next color we're going to hit is a red ink, which is obviously an ink, and we're using the base red. If you don't have this, you can use Mephiston red or whatever base red color you do have. We are being very careful in this stage. Obviously, we do not want to get that red all over the white we just painted, so we're using that trigger very carefully. Again, if you don't have an airbrush, you're not using an airbrush, just paint it with Mephiston red or whatever red color you do have. Once that red's completed, we're going to take back some of our Ivory and we're just going to try and blend the 2 colors together. That's why I like the airbrush, is because you can blend colors in very nicely without a crazy transition with wet blending and whatnot while using your brush. So we're just doing a nice easy transition using an airbrush. Next, we're going to start on with our flames. We're going to use Evil Sunz Scarlet Citadel color, one of my favorites, and we're going to be building up those flames. So what we want to do is put them on the raised areas of our flames. The recesses, we're going to hit it up with a wash here in a little bit, so don't go too crazy on it, but we're just hitting all of those flames around the miniature. And after putting on this color, you can immediately notice a difference between the base color and the Evil Sunz Scarlet as we're building up those bright red tones. Next color we're going to do is basically over everything we just went over was the Wild Rider Red, which is an orangish red, and again building up our color. And we're hitting up all those raised areas on the flames, towards the tail, towards the bottom, working in that red as much as we can. And as you get all this color on, you can start to see the difference and the color starting to kind of pop out as we're doing this. And since we sprayed it from a white from above, we're going to hit the bottom portion, hitting out those individual areas with some deck tan, hitting the bottom portion of that tail mixed with that red a little bit with that deck tan, and just kind of making that transition from the light to the dark to the off-white areas. I'm not gonna lie, painting white is very hard. It's almost like painting yellow. You just want to just pound your head against the damn desk while you're doing it. It's hard. So, but hey, you're doing just fine. And to build up our top color just a little bit more, we're gonna be using some Ivory just to kind of mix up the colors just a little bit. We're just trying to make that differentiation between all the colors that we've mixed in there so far, with the lighter colors being on top and the more eggy looking colors, beigeish looking colors on the bottom. For the tail portion that's sticking out, I don't know what the hell this is. We're going to be using Retributor Armour. My gaming group and I just started this game, and I'm going to tell you what, it's fantastic. I really enjoy it. I'll tell you about more in a little bit. For our wash, we're going to try and make this colors all blend together. We're going to be doing 5 parts of contrast medium to 1 part of Gore-Grunta Fur, and we're going to put it obviously all on the fur areas just to kind of blend it in. In the same ratio, 5 parts contrast medium to 1 part of Black or Templar for our tail, red tail area, just to make some depth, to make some contrast, just a little bit, just a little bit. That's all we're asking for. And for our gold piece, we're going to do a little bit of Seraphim Sepia. Obviously, after it's dry, let's get those tones back up and running. We're going to hit it up with some Ivory on top and a little bit on the bottom. To make those whites come out just a little bit more, we're going to be doing some Pallied witch flesh on top. Again, creating that light white versus the egg white on the bottom. Just making those two-tone colors, trying to match the card art as best we can. That's once we paint all those, we're going to take some Corax White and put it on top once again. Just building up those colors. Corax White is a very white gray color, has a very gray tone. Just hit that up. So getting back to the game, I am a very big storyteller. I love reading books, I love telling stories, I love hearing stories, and this game delivers that. It is D&D through and through without a DM telling you everything and making everything up and taking all of his time to do it. It is fantastic. If you have not played this game, I highly recommend it. No, I am not paid by Succubus Publishing, but I want to give credit where credit is due. And finally, we're going to take some pure white. We're going to hit some of those raised areas to include a little bit of edge highlighting on that tail or sharp tail area, whatever the hell it is. I'm sure I'll find out in the next gaming session as we're about to fight Gevaudan. And to re-brighten up that red tail, as it already is very contrasty, very nice looking, we're going to take some Evil Sunz Scarlet and just put it over those raised areas. Might take 2 coats on those raised areas. We just want to raise that brightness up just a little bit and make it a little bit better than what it is. And finally, we want to take some of that same Evil Sunz Scarlet. We're going to put some eyeballs in there. This is the backdrop to our white and black we are about to put in. Coming to the last steps, we're almost there. I know this model is painful to paint. Then we're going to put some eye slits into our red, obviously on both sides. That we're going to put some black here in a second. Take some of that Abaddon Black and put just a little bit of eye slits in there. Nothing crazy, less is more in this instance. Take your time, get a nice 3-point stance with your elbows on the table and you rolling in your shoulders. Once that is done, hit that nose up because that nose is also black. Hit those eyes up with some Lamenters Yellow, which is a yellow glaze that Citadel makes, which is a nice touch. Don't use it that often, but I do have it. I'm then going to take some of that Volupus pink and hit that mouth area. Once that is dry, take some of that white or ivory, whatever you want to take, and re-hit those teeth up. Nothing too crazy. Just to brighten up our gold areas a little bit, we're going to be taking some of that Liberator Gold, and we're going to be hitting some of those raised areas just to brighten up just a little bit. We're going to take that rim of the base, finally, last step. We're going to paint that in Mechanicus Standard Gray. And just like that, we are done with this model. It was not easy to paint. It was a pain in the butt. I thought it'd be a lot funner to paint. I did not enjoy this paint at all, but you know what? It had to get done because I am playing this game and I only play with painted miniatures. That sounds snooty, but it's just the truth. It adds to the flavor, especially with how story-driven this game is. It is fantastic to have painted miniatures on there. Reading the backstory, going through the story, having everything done, I really enjoyed it. I really like it. So it is what it is. This is the best it's going to get for this model. I promise I'll do better on other models in the future. Otherwise, please hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit that everything, and you know, just smash the keyboard. All right, until next time, paint on.